It is so beautiful to see y'all here on this Thursday evening. You are here at Bookwoman Bookstore. Round of applause for Bookwoman. Thank you so much, Susan and Bookwoman, for being one of our homes here in Central Texas. We love being able to come and share incredible literary events here in the store. Thank you, Susan.
Yes, I loved having you all.
Did you have anything you wanted to share?
Yes.
Okay, come on over here. I know. Come on over here.
So, I wanted to remind folks that the Best of Austin voting is going on right now. And a lot of bookstores have ads and they have big campaigns, and Bookwoman has won a few times in the past when they had a small bookstore category versus a big bookstore category. But I think for the last 40 years, Book People has won. So now that we're almost into 50 years, I want to try to give Book People a run for their money, quote unquote. And so there's a lot of categories to vote, but you can just go right to shopping, go right to bookstores. You could vote for Bookwoman, and we'll just see what happens. But proud to be able to still be around and to be a finalist. There's, I think, 4 or 5 bookstores that are finalists.
Yay! All right, vote, vote, vote.
Vote! And you got to buy books if you want to have authors.
That's right. We're just having that great conversation. So, if you don't know, my name is Amanda Johnston. I'm the founder and executive director of Torch Literary Arts. I am also still the Texas Poet Laureate currently. They should be announcing very soon who the new Poets Laureate are. But I am proud to represent Texas and will continue to do that for poetry and all literature. As Susan was just saying, we need authors to have these great books. So shop and buy books. That supports the store and the authors and the presses. But support Torch Literary Arts because we feed directly into Black women writers and our larger literary community so that they always know they are encouraged to write, that we need and value their writing, and that they have a safe place to do that work with us, right? That we are seeking them out and are here for them. Visit torchliteraryarts.org, learn more about Torch there, follow our program, subscribe to our newsletter so that you'll always be the first to know about incredible events like tonight. So this is our Wildfire Reading series. We are celebrating almost 20 years of Torch. Next year will be 20 years. Round of applause for that. Woo! And the Wildfire Reading series has been one of our long-lasting programs. So we curate these events in partnership with local independent bookstores and welcome in incredible writers from across the state and the country. But tonight we have from Dallas, Kendra Allen.
Yay,
Kendra Allen was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. She is the author of the memoir Fruit Punch, the poetry collection The Collection Plate, and the essay collection When You Learn the Alphabet, which won the Iowa Prize for Literary Nonfiction in 2018.
Wow.
You can find some of her other works on or in Oxford American, High Times, Repeller, Southwest Review, the Paris Review, the Rumpus, and more. In her spare time, she loves laughing, leaving, and contemplating what's the greatest rap verse of all time. Please welcome Kendra Allen.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amanda, for that introduction. It's always weird when like somebody talking about you in front of you. So you just try to sit there. But I'm so happy to be here. I'm so proud of just like the book community in general, but especially what you're doing for women writers and Black women writers. It's just perfect, and I'm honored to be here. Okay, so I'm going to be reading to y'all from Fruit Punch, which what I would consider a childhood memoir. Mm-hmm. Nothing really goes past the age of 18 in it. What's something that you need to know is that my mother's name in the book is L.A., so whenever I say L.A., that's my mama. And Doll, D-O-L-L, that's my daddy. Mm-hmm. So these characters are my parents, and something that you can look forward to is that it's just about like the trauma of having parents. Everything I write feels like the trauma of having parents. Just figuring that out, Something you need to know is that my parents separated and my dad moved back to Houston. So I do mention Houston a lot. So whenever I'm in Houston, it's summer and I'm there. Not with him, but I'm there. Yes. All right. So can we all do one big breath in? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you for doing it. Pritchard Lane. One pulling out his penis is the first time I ever see one. I ain't that good at aligning time with memory, so it all happens around the same age in my head. I'm no older than 6. Usually I'm 12, mostly 9. I could have been 4, I don't know. Everything's interchangeable. But I know places, and I know we still living on Pritchard Lane, which means my parents still live together, which means soon they won't be. But for now, our house is a 3-bed, 2-bath, and I got my own room. The biggest room I ever had to date, probably because it's the 90s, and Texas rent is cheaper than it's ever been. Feel free to laugh. It's fun. Grown. Get some movement in here. One's house is to the right of ours, and his family don't speak no English. So we forced to believe whatever it is he say they said, like we can come over to see his tree house. I don't know nothing about actual tree houses existing outside of cartoons, let alone in the middle of Pleasant Grove. But one real proud because his daddy built it especially for him. My daddy, doll, be building stuff too, but not no home for his kid. Mostly cages, walls, shelves, maybe rosters, borders, headgear. Anyways, one of them got a pecan tree I like to stand under. It hang off they wooden fence into our front yard, and I plant my feet in the grass with a plastic grocery sack looped between my fingers as a doll shakes the neck of his limbs. I capture the nuts out of the blades one by one, same way I snatch dandelions out of the earth. When my bag gets too heavy to hold, I go sit on our porch's middle step. We got a nice porch, not the wraparound kind my mama LA been dreaming of since she was a little girl, watching TV with too many families with picket fences, but it's nice because the size makes sense. Doll sit at the top step and hand me one of them metal crackers he took out of the restaurants we go to when you crack crab legs open all over the table. But I barely use it. That's what I got a mouth for. Yeah. I use my baby teeth to pop the pecan shells perfectly. I learned how to do it so fast, I obsess over keeping up with the rhythm. It go bite, crack, pull apart, chew, throw, eat, repeat. Sometimes I move too fast and fail to check the quality of the shell before I consume it. And that be the worst day ever because the rotten taste immediately swarms the insides of my jaw. Yes. I let my tongue loose, let it all fall out from the back of my throat and cough, like I'm born knowing how to spit things out quick and move on. Pecan shells, sunflower seeds, people. LA say I act like this because I got a takeover spirit and got a problem with organizing and orchestrating how everybody got to spend their time in my presence. That I can't handle somebody not liking what I love without shutting down. How it makes me think something is wrong with myself. That I spend too much time specifically trying to tell her what I don't want to do when she's the parent. I'm not trying to have a takeover spirit on purpose. It's just I can't stand people suggesting what it is I need to do in general, let alone what I need to do with my time. I need room to determine how I want to do the things I'm told, how I want to go about cleaning my room, how I want to dress today. I need time to figure out how I can curate the same results in a way that's pleasing to my personality. something in my brain be telling me to do it slightly differently, slightly wrong, and long, and lonely. To take my time on all tasks asked of me until I get it right. LA say not doing what you told, not listening, can get you hurt or get you hit. But I've been both a lot of times and I ain't died, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's probably why even though LA make the best pecan pies, I never save her none in my sack. I eat them all and I swipe in my tongue with my fingers once I come across the bad one. Our drag was chewed up along the edge of the concrete step. Sit and stare out into the main street at the curb. Grab another pecan. Hold it up. See if the darkness means sweet or burnt. Then I start my rhythm back up. Slowing it all down only to check my work. I study it from all angles so I don't get surprised. I don't understand how this keep getting misinterpreted as disrespectful or disobedient. Disobedient is LA's favorite word to define children. She even write it on a piece of construction paper and pin it up to the living room wall with the rest of the words I'm learning to spell, like, space, and leave. Sometimes she even make me use the word in a sentence. Like if she lose something in our space, she gonna say somebody stole it. And if they don't confess right now, they gotta leave. She dramatic like that. She always end up taking them back though. She real big on not lying, and even bigger on forgiveness. LA real big on a lot of stuff, but not that good at handling what it means to see folk for who they really is. That's always hard for her. She always talking about how people can change. Hey y'all. So next up I'm gonna read Dismount, trigger warning, parents having sex. Okay, that's it. Dismount. Let's just say I'm returning from something when I turn in bed in the middle of the night. I'm 6, 9, 7 is a lucky number, I've been told. A symbol of completion. And ending cycles is cool, I guess, but don't nobody ever talk about how it means the very next day the new one gotta begin again. I'm a wild sleeper, a sheet kicker. So at some point I usually feel LA's body connected to my wrist or foot, but tonight I don't. All I hear is breathing by my back and a slight knocking against the wall. It keeps speeding up and slowing down, the sound rocking my eyelids until I'm alert. It's the reoccurring scene of my life. I turn. Do the same slow blink that happens whenever I'm trying to stay awake in Daw's truck in the middle of the night. He a truck driver now. First as a milkman and now as his own man. And sometimes he be letting me pretend to drive it. I sit on his lap and maneuver the wheel slowly with both hands while his foot controls the gas. I learned all the truck's functions and how to swerve in and out of lanes. If I tag along, it don't matter what time his shift starts, I make myself awake. I don't want to miss out on seeing the world. I don't need nobody remembering my memories for me. When I turn in bed, I rub my eyes real good until they squeak. I don't know what I expect to see, but seeing Daw in our bed when I haven't seen him in months ain't it. He says, hey. I say, hey, back. And turn back around, face a wall this time. Not in a shocked and fast way, but in the steady roll one does when they typically don't expect to see their married parents who live in 2 different cities and in 2 different houses, having sex in the middle of a school night in the bed the child shares with their single mother. That type of turn. I'm always imagining how sex would be, so I'm not scared. I don't think. Mostly I'm kind of annoyed at how it's their home, or a bridge, or a marriage made weak and mindless, so maybe sex is a haven, or an anchor, or the downfall. But I'm not disgusted, just a little bit hazy. LA's legs are on top of Doll's shoulders, so when he greets me with, hey, he's leaning forward between them. His elbows are locked on each side of her and their navels are almost touching, even though he ain't that close to her face. They both are naked, and seeing LA with no clothes on ain't that distracting at all because we always naked around here. But Doll's shoulders and chest hair and back and butt is. Despite seeing many penises, I've never seen this much of a man in person before, and it feels mandatory. They not under no covers in this dark room, but Doll is luminous, yellow. His reflection outlined on the wall behind him. It's all how I imagine it to be, but not, since it seems safe. And they both smiling. At least Doll is. And I'm not sure if it's because he sees me or because he's inside of his baby mama again. But I see this nigga teeth clear as day, and it makes me regret my life. When I turn their way, I don't sit up. I don't see nothing on him that they would blur out on TV. Just the heart of his bottom half slapping against LA's bottom half. And I catch myself wondering what he feels about exposure. Since I've never seen them stick together unless they were sticking together. Not holding hands or kissing or nothing like that. This I never see. Besides that one picture in the photo album where we're on the couch and I'm trying to pull their faces apart. By sticking, I mean laying on top of one another. I'm pretty sure it's the position whose image I was made in. It's probably the only thing keeping them on speaking terms. Facts. Little 8-year-old me was a visionary. When they was actually together instead of married, Doll wrote LA love letters all the time. And because LA is a hoarder who keep every single piece of mail she's ever received in her entire life, of course I find them over the years on floors, inside trash bags, in folders, in places like that. I find notes he wrote on shredded sheets of paper, professions on birthday and anniversary cards, and emails from when they was going back and forth to child support court. All of his love letters are about how much he loves having sex with her, how he can't wait to come to Dallas and see her, touch her, enter her, how sex is the only thing I know about whatever love it is they could have shared. Doll is an occasional type of man who gets to leave, and I'm jealous because he's always lingering. Like the brown recluse venom that leaks out of my thigh that one year. It leaves a hole in my body so wide, I don't even cry as doctors dig out the leaking pulse with Q-tips that they've dipped in the antibiotics before entering them into me. I wonder if Doll does the same thing when he dips into LA. If there's any precaution present. I bubble up in this energy because I gotta be the one to deal with the repercussions of all his lives. It's how I imagine it to be because it's hot, foggy. They both wet like they just ran in from a storm. It's not how I imagine because I realize the wetness is sweat. I see it drip off of Doll's forehead and onto LA's face. And it's gross, but she don't seem to be complaining. I want to look down so bad, but this just ain't anybody's body. This is the body I was supposedly extracted from, and it feels dangerous to learn this much about him. Looking down will taunt me, knowing whether or not I got my butt cheek hair from him or myself. Or if I got the capacity to weather a child instead, or the stamina to prioritize my own pleasure. I force myself to focus on other factors like how a body gets flexible, formidable even, when it's in conversation with another's. How LA, who can't even touch her toes all the way without bending her knees, all of a sudden got those same knees almost touching her ears. I wonder, does she only believe in her body when it's being shaped? I wonder, does she think her body is beautiful at all because I never hear her say it? I wonder if she believes her body being so close to his means something or anything. I wonder if she thinks her body is worth care beyond this act that keeps getting mistaken for repair. How she stayed preaching to me about the importance of sex and the importance of waiting and the importance of having someone who honors your body in all of its openings, of having someone to love you. And I trusted her word. Yet all that go out the front door every time she opens it in the middle of the night. How I don't think I like her when she's laying down or when we sleep in the same wound. Because then I wonder if in it is where I got deceived. If I'm ever mentioned at all in life or letter, I'm being offered up by LA as a side dish. But she never pushes the issue. And if Doll don't come over, nobody even tells me he's in town or seems to care that the baby daddy don't care to spend time with the baby but care about laying up in her body. She'll meet him at hotels. And I don't know how I always know when it happens, but I do. Everybody is always so obvious. Usually, LA just start acting funny. I think this is what it means to be connected to someone. It's always apparent when they start to drift away.
Wow.
So the last thing I want to read for y'all, this time more fast. I'm timing myself too. Okay. This last little vignette that I'm going to read for y'all is called Coming of Age. And it's written as one very long 3-page run-on sentence, but I'm going to add imaginary punctuation marks. Okay. Coming of age. It's an embarrassing correlation, but one summer LA sends me this booklet text about how she feels I'm being sneaky and hiding things from her when all she's trying to do is make sure I'm safe around the people I'm with, and how I don't even call her when I'm in Houston for months, and when I do, I'm acting like I'm in a rush to get off the phone, and sometimes she feels sick at the thought of other people touching me, and I'm 16 and 6, and the longer I read, the madder I get, so I start to cry. Only because I'm exhausted that I gotta be everybody's parent. And I'm too scared to cry in the light. So I touch myself at midnight under Doll's roof and think about sounds to stop myself from spiraling. And this is the only way I know how, because sex and shame in myself has become a lifeline I've been conditioned to be good at. And sex and shame with myself is the only thing I got that I can control. So I use my fingers to slide across the slit between my thighs, and I'm sweating, but even under the covers, I feel washed as an involuntary tear pops once things feel good, and I get scared and think I'll turn into a pool and then into a different person who can't stop crying, even though I desperately want to do so, but I lay very still instead. Even though I'm almost 17 or 7, it's easy to be I'm late for everything, and everything I do that's been worth it I've done last minute. I tend to learn so much about myself in the panic, and I touch myself wholly, meaning I put both hands over me for protection from myself, since they can't fit in me. and lay very still as if any sudden movement would proceed in the door being opened and me being caught. And I turned everything into a survival tactic, but that's how I master it. Because anything that wants to progress will. Like how at first it's my hand, then the shower faucet, then you hate yourself, then it's insert object here, then you remember you can cry, you can feel, then you hate yourself because it takes so much to feel. Then you punishing yourself for feeling, but you can't stop because overstimulation is the only way it feel like you won't disperse into your bloodline. Then it's hours on the floor in a locked closet. Then you hate yourself. Then it becomes the only way you can cry, and that becomes a conversation. Then a secret, then humiliation, then a flat out lie. Then it's just your life, and it happens so fast, and it happens so loudly, and you form a lot of habits and cry under covers in houses you don't belong in, while trying to see if there's a difference between crying and coming, and how once you asked your mama if y'all could go to therapy together, because you think maybe y'all are too codependent. And she looks at you like you just said your cousin touched you in a spot they shouldn't have, because she can't understand what it is to discuss when she's your best friend. And you hate yourself. So of course you try to outdo yourself. And it ain't as hard as everyone may think. And everyone thinks you're the loveliest, most secure girl in the world because you do things well and still manage to be kind about it. And once you do it so long, you wish you could tell somebody how the legs don't necessarily shake more than they stiffen. Like a shiver when the temperature drops without warning. A knee-jerk reaction. A sneeze you've been waiting all day to blow. Or whiplash. How once you've made yourself stop breathing. And when you go to wipe, you see blood. You open yourself for yourself. It's how you know nothing that is yours could ever be taken, even if you gotta cry through it. How you inhale through it, since life is about breathing. How you wonder if this is why we always break. How sometimes you think, what if you die like this? Found lifeless with your eyes rolled into the back of your head, your fingers stiff, your blood uncirculated, your mind blown from too much triggering. How you wonder what lie would be created to cover up who you are one last time. And you hate yourself, but when you do things well, you forget. And you love yourself. You really, really love yourself for your brain, mostly. And they look to you for all the answers, even though you're only 4 years old and you don't know how to say you barely a shell when they love you for having so much fun. Thank y'all.
Goodness.
Right.
Can we do another breath?
Yeah.
We need to breathe out. Breathe out.
My back's sweating. That's how I know.
Oh my gosh, that was some incredible work. Thank you, Kendra. Thank you so much. I've got a few questions, and then we'll open it up for audience questions. That's okay. Do you need some water?
I'm fine.
Oh, okay. I have to make sure. Wow, I'm always just stunned by those who can write memoir so well.
Yes.
It is, it's easy for folks to get caught up in fact.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about creative writing, like where does the creativity come in when we're sharing about real things that have happened in our lives, right? But you started by saying this is a childhood memoir. And that too, when we think about memoir, people are like, oh, this is like our opus of our life that we'll wait and write before we pass away and transition. Talk to us a little bit about the choice to write a childhood memoir?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I gotta go back some years in my brain. Originally, that book was sold as like a book of essays, but it was unseen, so I didn't have anything. I was starting from scratch. And through like, just playing around on the page or like looking at things you've already written and finding threads that match, something that always came up: this is undergrad, this grad school, this post-grad school, this is in the publishing world. Something that was constant in my writing was my parents. And I had a line in Fruit Punch that I took out that said, because it's a therapy section in the book, and I'm telling my therapist that I just want to get to the point where somebody can ask me about myself and I won't start talking about my parents. Like, that was my life goal. I still ain't did it. But that was the thread that was coming in all my work: my poetry, my essay writing, my music writing. Like, anything I tried, like, here go my mama, here go my daddy, and I'm trying to figure something out, and I would fight against it. And so when I started realizing that wasn't going to go away, I kind of leaned in. And I was like, I don't know what a memoir looks like, because you're in these places where people tell you, like, you too young to eat. I was like 26 when I started writing that. And people were saying, like, you too young, you ain't even lived life, you ain't even been through nothing. I'm like, you don't even know me. What are you talking about? And so that was something I always fought against. Of like, you can't tell nobody they too young to do something. And I think about my childhood, that's like 5 different lives already. And I'm thinking about being outside with my friends all the time. We was doing crazy stuff that we had no business doing. But you can't tell me that, like, they can't sit down and tell you that story and it don't amount to somebody who's lived 50 more years than them. And so once I got over that halt, it was just like the pressure I put on myself to get it right. Like, you have that pressure on yourself to say, how is my family gonna respond to this? How is the reader gonna respond to this? Did it come through? And of course, like, when it's out, you say, I could have did it better. Like, you're not completely satisfied. But I think I couldn't run away from it because I didn't have nothing else to write. Like, to be honest, that's all I had. Like, I could try something else, but that's not what's coming out. And I had to learn to trust that flow, like, trust that instinct. And once I did that, I was like, okay, this is what this is going to be. I can say it's a memoir, and I can be proud of it. And I can say it's a childhood memoir, because childhood, all of us really just always go back to childhood. We all just little kids walking around, acting like we not. And so, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did. You did. And we lived many lives, just even in our formative years, especially in our formative years, right, when we are trying to learn the world that we're existing in, and also then learning what survival means in this world where we have very little power as children, as adolescents.
And the power that you do got, people always fighting to strip it away. Like, you don't get choices, you don't get options. And sometimes I really like the memoir, not my memoir, but memoir in general, for the fact that, like, I'm always thinking of ways you can lie and tell the truth at the same time. Like, this is a memoir, so you assume that everything's true, but I can also be imaginative, and that's where, like, I get, like, that inclination to be, like, poetic, or to break the page up, or hit that space tab. I'm always hitting the space tab. I don't know why, but I'm doing it. And I just like how something look. It's sometimes not deeper than that. I just like how it look. I like how it made me feel. It got me to the next thought and to the next chapter. It led me there. So, yeah.
I love that. I also think what you do so brilliantly is bring that childhood experience and child's voice through as important storytellers, right? That we should listen to children. Listen to children's voices and their experiences. It matters, and you're going to learn a lot about our world and yourself when you listen to children. And you have to own your part in that child's experience, right? But you also, so in the writing, there is a mature voice still there. So, you know, how remembering and reflecting on very, you know, challenging and traumatizing experiences, there is an awareness in the voice of the writing. So how did you balance that with the childhood experience that you were sharing? So your current adult voice with that of the child on the page.
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. I think I'm maybe not conscious that I'm doing this, but I think that I don't try to separate the voices, if that makes sense. Because they both still live in me.
Yes, I
and
love
even
that.
as like a child, both were still in me. Like I'm surveying how these adults are acting, and I'm like, I can't trust you, so I gotta figure out how to survive, like you said, or like how to emotionally take care of myself, but you can't do it, and you don't want to do it. But so like both of those voices have always lived in me. When I was young, people was telling me I was mature. That's not true. I was not. I just was like forced into these positions. And as an adult, a lot of times people want you to be very, very mature and not have a playful side to you. And that's not like a way to, exist. And so when I think of the page, I'm always just cognizant of the fact that, like, I hate this what I'm finna say, but it's true. Like, we contain multitudes. Like, we contain multitudes. And so I'm always trying to go back into like those parts of my child voice that were stifled out. Like, those are the parts I want to bring back up. And then as far as the maturity, I grew up in church. My uncle was pastor, Baptist church in the South. 4 days a week, just always there. No reason. Where you at church? Why? I don't know. So I was always there. And so I have like this thing in my head where it's in me, even though I ain't been to church in forever, but like I grew up in that, and so it's in me. Sometimes I can feel myself getting preachy, or I can feel myself thinking I know too much. And that's when I'm just like, that's not the adult I want to be. I don't want to be an adult that can't still grow or learn or feel like this is it. I got it all together right now. And so when I think of voice, I'm always I talk a lot about my speaking voice. And as a child, I was that child, that whiny, real, like, like, girl, stop, like, just why'd you sound like that? So I was like, very whiny, and people always not understand me. Even people in Dallas, they would be like, you have an accent. Or they'll say, what you say? I could tell a whole story. They ain't heard nothing. They just looking at me. And I talk fast. And so I was always like scared to speak sometimes. If I started getting scared to speak. And so now when I think of writing and people always looking for a voice, I just try to translate what's coming at my mouth on the page. And a lot of times it's being goofy. A lot of times it's being unsure. I think that's where the child voice really shines, in those moments where I don't act like I know things. Like, it's okay. Like, it's a memoir, but most of that is me trying to figure shit out. Like, I don't know anything. So yeah, that's my very long-winded.
No, that's wonderful. And I think one of the things you touched on, just to phrase it another way, is having the vocabulary to articulate feelings that you had when you were young. So we contain all of those same feelings, right? Fear, joy, uncertainty, right?
But you don't have the language.
When we're young, we don't know how to say that. We don't know how to sit our parents down and have a lecture at the kitchen table about what y'all just did last night and how that was inappropriate. Right? Because we're 6. But you feel,
but you know
like,
what it is.
It's something going on right now, and I feel a way about it. But let me turn over and look
and
back at the wall.
what's wrong with y'all? The child is okay with this.
So now you beautifully have the language and the incredible talent that comes across on the page to be able to share your younger self story now.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
It's hard. I encourage everybody to share their younger stories.
And I love too when you said, yes, you can write your memoir when your memoir is ready to be written.
Yeah.
That was the same thing that Angela Davis got criticism about writing her memoir when she was young. But look at she had come out of prison. She was, the government was trying to kill her. She was America's Most Wanted. She survived all of that. She was still a scholar, and a brilliant mind. She had a story to tell, a memoir to share, and it needed to be shared then.
And you
So
can
that we
always
could all
write
have
more
it.
than one memoir.
Yes.
People think you only get one chance to do it. And I think about Bell Hooks' work a lot,
Yes.
where she is writing similar. One of my favorite books ever is Wounds of Passion by Bell Hooks. And she just writing about being a writer. I love women writing about writing, favorite genre. But it's an amazing book. And the stuff that she talks about, they're in multiple books of other of her books. And so it's just like she's writing 10, 20 memoirs back to back, and they all very different. But why is it not being called a memoir? I think about that, but I'm going on the tangent.
No, okay, so my last question, then we'll open it up for audience. So with carrying multiple memoir inside of us, can we expect more from you?
Yeah, I tried to really fight against this. But yeah, I wouldn't say hard memoir, but maybe just like a essay collection,
And you
personal
write
essay
poetry,
collection.
too. It can be
Yeah,
memoir through poetry.
yeah, just like some personal narratives. But I'm still like going through the things I think I will end up writing about. I just need like some space from it. But eventually, it's not. I have a novel coming out next year.
Oh, tell more.
I have to do the edits, but she told me like next summer.
What's
And
it
it's called
called?
Like the People Do.
Like the people do,
Yes,
a novel.
Yes. So I've been trying to do other things because I felt like I was just done with writing in general. I've been writing about myself for a decade, and it's just like burnout. And when I think of the things I've written, to be honest, it makes me sad. Like I can't really think like when this book came out, I was happy because every time a book came out, something terrible happened in real life, and so I started thinking like maybe it's because I'm writing about real life, but I'm getting back to it, if that makes sense. So I would never say I would never do it, but I'm just like slowly trying to find a way to do it more healthy and more creatively, and where it don't feel like, because writing that memoir really like stripped my spirit. I don't know how to explain it any other way. It stripped my spirit for a long time. It's so hard. It's not even long, but it took me so long to like get it. I changed it like 3 or 4 times, and my editor finally had to be like, "Hey girl, do you want this book to come out or not?" But yeah, I will, but I just don't know how yet.
But I'm also thrilled to hear your other writing. So a novel is amazing.
Yes.
As a side note, it was a pleasure to publish your piece
Yes.
for Praise Song. For
And
the
I
People
love
Who
all
Are
those pieces.
And that anthology will be coming out in the
Yes.
fall, so we can all enjoy your poem as a part of that collection. But no, it is good to keep writing whatever inspiration comes, and we are grateful to have your voice and stories and poems.
Thank you
in the
so
world.
much for your questions.
Yes, yes. Any questions from the audience?
You can ask anything, it don't matter.
It might be personal, but did you and your mom ever go to therapy?
Girl.
And how did she feel about the book if she read it?
My mama read the book, but did she read it? You know, like she read it, but she made up what she read. Like she'll read it and she telling people about it. I'm like, that didn't say that at all. I'm like, cognitive dissonance all over the place.
Lord.
But my mom, I've been asking my mom to go to therapy at least since I was like 15 years old. We ain't went. I've gone and she's gone. But one time I remember asking her, and she was like, "For what? Just tell me." Like she got scared. I'm like, "You know what you be doing, huh? You don't want nobody else to know what you be doing." So yeah, we haven't gone, and I honestly gave up hope that we will. I just have to focus on my own like therapy journey. Yeah.
Well, hopefully writing your stories, sharing your stories is a way to tend to yourself
Yeah, it is.
and the stories that you need to work through, your memories, right?
Yeah.
That you need to work through. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Yes.
I don't necessarily have a question. I do have a couple of statements. Very inspirational. I felt very seen.
Thank you.
I'm 45. I'll be 46 in August. I'm a veteran. I've been various places. What I really find inspiring is how you describe your introduction into the second chapter you're reading. And you were saying maybe 7, 9. And it's inspirational. I said I felt seen because that's kind of how I felt. And I know, like with me, as a veteran and someone who has gone through traumatic experiences, I've accepted that there's parts of my childhood I just don't freaking remember.
Yeah, it's blacked out.
Like, at all.
Yeah.
Like, and when you were describing it, my head was like, holy shit. You know, like, I'm serious. Like, I was like, is she reading me? You know, I'm like, oh, okay.
So
You know,
cool.
it's kind of like, whoa.
Wow.
You know, and it's just, it's inspirational because how you read it is poet. I'm a poet. It's very creative. And it felt like almost you were giving lapses of memory of maybe this happened during these ages, maybe it didn't, because that's how I felt.
Yeah.
You know, from trauma, because you don't really know. Because I know, like, for me, I have pictures of my childhood. I can look at the pictures, and I can see me and, you know, images of my dad or whatever. But I can't even tell you who I was in that picture.
Yeah.
Or what was going on. And, you know, it's just like gaps of memory, and then there's descriptions. So I really admire how you read that, and it just gave me inspiration to kind of continue to go through my healing journey for my inner child stuff as I, you know, develop and continue on as a writer. And there's different ways to release. You know, when you was describing how you did the spacing, and to me that's like, okay, I don't know what that thought is, but hey, I'm just gonna space it out and continue going on. That's how I felt when you were describing it.
Yeah.
You know, so keep doing what you freaking doing. Like, I really appreciate. I was not expecting none of this when you was reading. Like, I'm serious. I'm like, dang. You know, so I get it, because for a long time, like when I, and I'm not trying to be long-winded. I'm just saying you were very inspiring. For a long time, I had this really heavy, guilty feeling over my life for the first part of my adolescent into adulthood, that I just felt unworthy because I felt like I was very promiscuous, and I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt, even into my first early stages of the military, until I just had to accept that this was, I accepted a lot of things about me that I didn't understand, and then I understand the bigger pictures of who I was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just you describing that portion of the ages, it just felt fragmented of how I saw my childhood.
Yeah.
You know, so I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Here.
Yeah, I'm trying to, like you, I'm trying to figure out how to describe this experience. It's like standing in front of the ocean for the first time. This is all coming, and there's so much depth here
Yes.
that it is so emotional. But it's like, I read Claude Brown's Man-Child in the Promised Land when I was young, when I'm still a child. And therefore I could understand, this is a child speaking to me.
Yeah.
And that's what you do, but you know, you do what he does, talk about the horrible in such a wonderful way, is disarming. And we can open up and find those spaces like you in ourselves. I am, you know, I just look around and say, where are the other 100,000 people that should be here listening to you? Because such wisdom. And I had the same question about therapy, because there's got to, no one gets to this place without doing some really deep dive. Sounds like you have.
Still is.
Yeah. You talk what you say. So you started writing when you were 26. You look like 26 to me.
Right.
So, but it's beautiful, and but I'm so fascinated with your process, particularly the distillation process of how, you know, like you said, this is not a memoir. This is poetry, man. This is poetry, and when you're reading, it's the rhythm. I feel the music and what you're doing. There's so much coming together. So you worked hard to get here.
Thank you. I'm finna cry.
And it
Thank you.
shows. It shows.
It shows.
So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And one more question.
I was also going to make a comment about how you talk about like age and time, and I was just wondering, like, for a childhood memoir, like, and it's so like nebulous, when does like childhood end for you for this book and just in general?
That's a great question. Childhood is never ending. That's what I really feel. Until we really get into our childhoods, freedom don't exist, community don't exist, love don't exist, all these big things. I think that's why I play with time like that, and like with the ages, because that's how memory is. Memory, especially if you're dealing with trauma, but even just in general, like sometimes even today, I would think something happened 3 months ago, and my cousin would be like, "Girl, you did that a year ago," and I'm like, "Huh?" Like what? Or in my mind, it's like I just started writing at 18. I was like, I'm gonna take this very seriously. I'm 30 now, and I'm just like, I'm still in that library in Chicago going to class. And so I think of just childhood as like a container for all these desires that like we cultivate in our mind, and sometimes those desires are not even needs. Not saying you shouldn't have your desires or have your needs or like differentiate between the two, but I think childhood is that space where you can like find the roots of like those things. And I think for me, that's why it's just always going to be continuous. Like even the next thing I talked about like having a novel, and I'm writing that novel about a woman who has 2 kids. I don't have kids. The woman also has 2 partners, and like they all live together, and like they all are like raising the family in like this community. And I think I wanted to do that because for me, if children are not present in every single thing that I write, I don't care if it's poetry, whatever it is, if children are not present, I could be writing an album review. Children have to be there or it does not feel real for me. Like it doesn't feel, like I feel like somebody lying if a child ain't around, because the child gonna tell you the truth. Or the child gonna, and they don't care how they say it either. Thinking something I couldn't say. But like I have to have children in everything that I do, and even in my life. Like I don't want kids, but I want to have kids around. I want to be because it's just something. Of course, it's something pure about them, but it's something so natural about them. Like just the way like they move, they flop their arms around. That made me think of like rhythm in like my prose. Like how can I make my prose flow in the way that this child just made a wave with their body, or just things like that. So yeah. It's like all these little things connected, and they're just trying to find the connections in the wires. But again, like childhood is always like that middle ground where you can always just go back to it, because we like so as adults, like we so ready to like feel like an adult or look like an adult. It's all about like an image, and I think like with that child self, you're able to dismantle like that image because you don't care how it look. You care about how it making you feel. You need a child to sit here like this. You're like, what's wrong with you? They don't like how something made them feel. The air too cold. I don't like how it make me feel. Make my arms hurt. And it's like, oh, like that's something to look into, or like that's something to write about, or there's something to examine. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, like examine. So yeah, childhood for me is just like this research place, or like this examination table, or like the surgeon's table. I talked a whole lot.
And we are grateful you did.
So good.
I do have one question.
One question.
Yeah. How do you get over the title Fruit Punch?
Okay. So the title Fruit Punch, the book is sliced down into 2 sections called Blood. Both sides are blood, and one is the bloodline, and one is bloodshed. So I'm talking about family and then like bloodshed. And Fruit Punch is just, I remember being a kid when I started my period the first time. I looked in the toilet, or like I wiped, and it was like very thick. Like, and I'm still this way. So I'm from childhood now, where I'm always just fascinated about blood and like the consistency of it. The clots, I'm talking about Mr. Blood, but like the clotting, the thinning of it, the discharge, like how does it look, what does it mean, what does it represent? And so as a kid, I thought the consistency was like thick and juicy, like Hawaiian punch. And so Fruit Punch just came to mind. And then it's like reminiscent to like the blood. It was really,
And for me, it conjured immediately childhood experiences.
Yes.
You know, with what kind of Kool-Aid you
Yes.
want, fruit punch,
I was
red.
thinking I should have named it Kool-Aid because one of my nicknames as a kid was Kool-Aid, but it was like Kool-Aid. Fruit punch is good.
Fruit punch is great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Another
y'all.
round of applause for Kendra Allen.
Clap for yourself. Thank y'all for being here and engaging. Thank y'all for coming to questions. I'm gonna cry in the car.
I also want to thank again Bookwoman. Thank you so much for having us here, Susan. Make sure you shop. You see there's a lot of incredible books here in the store. You can purchase Fruit Punch and have it signed before you leave. Also, I want to thank our other funders who do help make this possible. Thank you to the City of Austin. Thank you to the Birding Johnson Foundation, the Poetry Foundation, and many individual donors like all of you. Every single bit helps make this possible. We pride ourselves on being able to pay our artists. We pay our staff and team. We're able to put money back into the literary ecosystem, and we can't do that without the support of our community. So do visit torchliteraryarts.org, learn more about our programs, and if you can give, any amount will help. Thank you so much. Get your books now. Let's get them signed. And thank you again to our interpreters for making it more accessible for our community. Thank you.
Y'all are amazing.
That's